everybody and welcome to another Fight of the Night review. This is for the Fight of the Night that took place last night. It was the main event of a UFC at Vegas card between Jack Hermansson and Marvin Vettori. And as always, it's my job to break down the fight best as I can. It went all 5 rounds, so I've got a lot to talk about. And yeah, I'm basically just going to do my best to review it and tell you what I thought about it by the end. So, let's go. So the fight starts in the first round, and yeah, both men are, you know, they're touching gloves, they're getting a feel out for each other, you know. Jack is the first to open he's the first to open with some offense. He starts with some really good leg kicks, there's a couple of body kicks, he goes for a combo at some point as well, but Marvin counters him really well, and for a lot of round 1, Marvin has it actually. He's countering a lot of Jack's punches, although Jack does throw a really nice uppercut from time to time. He even catches Marvin with a nasty looking body kick. But yeah, in terms of striking, round 1 is really close, and then it gets to a moment about halfway through the round where it's like more of a feeling out process by that point, and Marvin clips Jack with a vicious looking combo and knocks him down. And surprisingly, instead of like staying on top of him and trying to go for a ground and pound finish and get the fight done, he actually sort of goes for a guillotine choke and decides to slow the pace down, which I thought, okay, yeah, it did give me more of a really good fight. But I was like, you know, you had the chance to finish it there, and Jack wasn't defending himself well because he was hit really hard. So, yeah, it was a bit baffling, but, you know, Marvin managed to stay in top control for a really long time. He had some really good groundwork. He smothered Jack. He landed some really good punches from the top. Eventually, Jack did manage to get the wherewithal and roll up to his feet and sort of throw an uppercut late into the round. But yeah, round 1 definitely in favour of Marvin Vettori. It was pretty even up until the point where he like took it. Yeah, I don't really see a lot of situations where Jack really won that round, but he did recover really well. To be fair to him, and he managed to keep rolling with Marvin while he was on the ground. So yeah, I mean, Jack has always been a really intelligent fighter anyway, so it was really nice to see him sort of roll with the punches in a way. Round 2 starts and Jack is a bit more frustrated because he knows he lost round 1, so he makes a decision early in round 2 to go for a takedown. And despite some decent scrambling, he does manage to eventually get it, but it doesn't last long, and then Marvin manages to turn it around and get the top ground position. And then Marvin, again, just smothers Jack for a lot of this second round. I don't remember exactly how long it lasts, but Marvin definitely looks a lot better in round 2 than he did in round 1. And yeah, he just smothers Jack, he stays on him, goes for a couple of submission attempts, I think. Manages to stay on him with ground and pound. Eventually it does get to a point where he does get off of Jack, and they're in that position, you know, the one where like one fighter is still lying on his back and waiting for like the pull guard sort of thing. Excuse my hair. And yeah, and the other one's like standing up and trying to kick him. Eventually Jack just managed to, like, you know, get back up from that, and the two start exchanging some really good strikes again, with Jack throwing a good couple more body shots, but again, Marvin looked really good. His crisp combos were there. His left hook especially was really good throughout this entire fight. I forgot to mention that earlier. And yeah, he just outlanded Jack, and in my opinion he took round 2. So yeah, first 2 rounds go to Marvin. Pretty easy looking night for the guy, to be honest. And round 3 starts, and you can tell that Jack is a lot more frustrated because he sort of knows he's down 2 rounds by this point. So he doesn't try to go for any wrestling because, you know, he made a couple of attempts at a takedown round 1, went for one in round 2, it didn't work. So round 3 he just decided, fuck it, I'm going to stand up. And he did. And yeah, round 3 was definitely a lot more in favour of Jack. He wasn't afraid to stay in the pocket with Marvin. He was throwing a lot more combos. He landed a lot more strikes. His leg kicks and body kicks were there for him all day. And he went for like the ones from his right leg to the side because Jack fights in a more orthodox style and Marvin is more southpaw. And that's always an interesting style when you get that, like, fighters of 2 different stances against each other like that. So it was kind of cool to see Jack throwing a lot of his caution to the wind and just deciding, you know what, I'm not going to win just by sitting on my ass all day and getting taken down. I'm going to do something, and that's what he did. He went for... He had some really good looking hook combos in round 3. There was an amazing one he landed. I think it was round 3 or 5. I don't remember, but it looked really good. And yeah, it was him and Marvin very much staying in the pocket, but Jack was pressing the action more. He outlanded Marvin in round 3. And yeah, I have to give round 3 to Jack. This is where the fight sort of swung a little bit more in his favour. favor, and yeah, he knew what he had to do to try and get himself like more in the winning side in terms of the judges' favor. But yeah, it was a really good pace they managed to keep up throughout round 3, and I definitely give the round to him. And all in all, yeah, he looked really good going into the next round, which I'm going to talk about now. So, I know normally don't do this, but I want to talk about rounds 4 and 5 together because, in contrast to the first 3 rounds, which were a lot more technically sort of paced, even with, like, you know, the wrestling stuff thrown in, rounds 4 and 5 are absolute dogfights. I mean, like, Marvin must have felt like he was losing the fight after round 3 because he knows he didn't have as good a showing as he did in the first 2 rounds. And him and, I don't know who him is, him and Jack just stand in the pocket and trade shots with each other. Absolute, oh my god. There's not really a lot I can say about both rounds. I believe in round 4 in round 5 there is a moment where Marvin goes for, like, he pushes Jack against the cage and actually gets a takedown on him. Or no, he doesn't. This is near the end of the fight too. It's near the end of the 5th round and near the end of the fight. When he has Jack against the cage and he's sort of like got him in a back position, Jack ducks under, rolls through and tries to get a rolling sort of ankle lock. Doesn't secure it properly, but it was interesting for him to go for something like that. It was a very last minute, a very last ditch effort sort of thing, and it looked really cool. But yeah, rounds 4 and 5 were easily the most entertaining rounds of the entire fight. They were just absolutely mental. The two were trading with each other. There was like, I was going to say there was cuts opening up. This wasn't. This fight didn't really have any blood, although Marvin's face did look a bit more messed up. He was outlanding a bit more though. He was a bit more patient with it, but Jack was like he was pushing the pace a lot in rounds 4 and 5. And yeah, it was just extremely exciting. Jack even threw a nasty head kick in round 5. So there's not really a lot else I can say about rounds 4 and 5, except that they were the most entertaining, which is weird because I can't really remember a lot from them, except for the fact that they were both just awesome dogfights. Just the two dudes standing right across from each other, just like, fuck it, let's just punch the crap out of each other. And they did. And at the end of the fight, Marvin won by unanimous decision. It was quite a close one. Jack definitely did not have a bad showing at all. And I thought this was a really entertaining fight. I don't think it's going to be in my top 10. I did like it a lot, but I feel like if the first 3 rounds were more like the last 2, I feel like it definitely would be, because it was an insanely close fight by the time those last 2 rounds came around. But yeah, the first 2 were definitely more in favour of Marvin. Jack really only won round 3. And rounds 4 and 5 were close, but slightly more in favour of Marvin. But it's not like Jack was a pushover in any sense of the word. So yeah, I don't know. The fight was good. And I definitely recommend you watch it, because there was a lot of really great moments from it. But besides that one knockdown in round 1 and the absolute, like, you know, just the inhumane cockfighting that were rounds 4 and 5, there was a lot of really interesting action in the time between, if I'm being honest. I mean, Jack turning up in round 3 was quite nice. And I don't really have a lot else to say besides that. It's always frustrating when there's a fight I really like that I don't have as much to talk about as I would like. So yeah, that's really all I can say. Congratulations to Marvin, and Jack Hermansson, you know, looked really good in this fight too. There was one clear winner, and I'm really glad that Marvin won it, although this is another case where I would have been happy with the other man winning. So to be honest, that'll about do it for this review. The next thing I'll see you for most likely will either be a very brief history of the Runaways, or possibly the full backtracking episode, or maybe the next episode of AVW versus PBW. The first one was an absolute delight, and both those videos are up on YouTube now, so really happy about that. And I'll see you for whatever the hell is next, really. Also, there may be another Catch Up Chaos episode on the horizon. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye.